Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'll be going through my final round game from the 2025 Midwest Open. If you did not see my last video, which you definitely should, it was a good review and an exciting game. I did end up losing that game in pretty dramatic and embarrassing fashion. But at the time I did not know that, so I was still mentally doing okay during the tournament. I wasn't feeling fatigued. Especially since compared to the first day, which was 3 games, the final day was only 2 days, or 2 games, I mean. So just had to play one more game, and that's it. And so my final round opponent, Eric Yoder, 6-dan, who at this point is probably the person I've played the most in tournament. We first played all the way back in 2015. It wasn't the official not Midwest Open, Go Congress in Boston, the Open, but it was the Die Hard tournament. That was the first time I ever met him, actually, and first time we played. And pretty much since then, he has beaten me every time we've played in person. So, yeah, call him a kryptonite. I don't know. But I'm very determined to beat him in tournament. And so I was very fired up to get another chance to in this event. To make the score 1 in 20 or whatever it is. No, it's not that bad. I think it's like 5 times, maybe 4 or 5 times, something like that. And he's won all of them in tournaments. So trying to get 1 on the board. And just as a heads up for this game was insane. There's lots of fighting in this, and I'm going to try my best to keep the video at a reasonable length. I'm going to try to skip over some certain things. I could go in very heavy detail about the game, but if we did that, this video would be 2 hours long. So to avoid that, I'm just going to be hitting key points. And this game, just like last year also, in my final round, was the last game still being played of the final round. We got done during the award ceremony. That's how late it was. Although last time they had to wait for us because it was to determine 3rd place potentially for the Masters division, so they had to wait for the game to finish to decide that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this game because there's a lot to talk about here. I am black. My opponent is white, and basically my strategy for this was to try to make it as complicated as possible, basically. Yes. Yeah. So we'll see that. We'll see a point where there's like 10 divided up groups, something like that. It gets pretty crazy. So, yeah, pretty standard here. We get the pincer again, and like with my 4th round, I figure my opponent wants me to go here and that they know this variation better than I do. And so to avoid any complications like that, I do something different. And so the point of this, by the way, you might look like, why are you jumping with an elephant jump, right? There's a clear elephant eye weakness there. But this is actually what black wants. Because now when I shoulder hit, the board's a little bit different compared to if I just shoulder hit now. And so by doing this first, now if white wants to push and cut, I can actually just capture this stone at 0-4. And so that's what black is looking at. So yeah, if white just has to crawl like normal, then again, this stone is not really doing much for white. I even just block here. However, black continues. This stone at 0-4 isn't going to accomplish much. Of course, white knows this, so white backs off. And I have 2 choices here. I could either attach like this or play the move I did in the game. I think either or is playable. We'll get something like this into attach. Yeah, something like this is possible. White could also choose to stand up and then kick, something like this. All of this is possible. In the game, I decided to do this, though. And white plays the elephant eye. And now this won't be as effective as in the other variations because white has the stone at Q6. So I attach, though, and crosscut. And this is a common crosscut you'll see even without all the extra stones. Like if white has something like this, black will often just attach and crosscut. A lot of players think you have to descend or play here, but this is actually the best local move to stay light. And why is that? So the idea is we're just probing white to see what white wants. If white, let's go with S5 first, then we get extra forcing moves. We get this move as a forcing move, and if white connects, we get another move as a forcing move. This would be really good for black. If white takes, though, we get this ko. And again, this ko is not so bad for black. If white ataris this way and connects, this would allow black to live in the corner somehow. Yeah, like this. And so the best way for white to kind of give black bad shape, or keep black shape kind of not so settled, is to play at S2. But what this has done is created a lot of aji for black. So now black could, right now, ataring this way isn't helpful, right? But maybe it will be in the future. So now black will play moves like M4, basically trying to use the aji here to affect the aji here. But the reason why we do this first is if we do this first and we play some moves, well, now white knows that this aji exists. It's already on the board, so you can't take it back. So that's why we play here first to see how white plays, and then if white plays here, then we decide what to do. We can also attach here. This is also playable, and oftentimes you'll see a shape like this. I've seen this in many pro games. And again, the idea is if white tries to hane now, we can atari and now cut, and you can see double atari or capture at 05. So yeah, so that's the idea with this. Now on this board, it's this. I'm looking at the same things. If white extends here, the idea now is I can, and there's an order here that is important, but basically I get this move in sente now, and then can connect back. That's the main idea. If white answers, I can obviously atari now. So that's why in the game white doesn't do that. White ataris. And here, I make a slight mistake, and of course, I remember this, even though it was a couple weeks ago. I remember this position. This is like the first time in this game I played quickly, and what do you know? I made a slight error. But it's still not too bad. So in the game, I play here, which allows white to atari, right? And generally that's bad, but in this case it's not so bad, because if I extend here, white can't save in the corner, of course. But white gets this move in sente, and this cuts off p3 in sente. Whereas by going here, I have now not made q2 sente for white. So even though my corner is smaller, there's more aji on the outside. That means there's more aji potentially with moves like here. You can see there's just not anything there. But if it looks like this, there's potential with this cut here. Again, not right now, but at some point there's potential here. But yeah, locally or directly, this is a worse result to this one, point-wise. So, yes. And then white pincers. And normally you would play this, but white views that white has thickness. So white wants to use this thickness somehow. So that's why white instead pincers. And this is a normal move even on a more normal position, such as the upper right. We see this kind of shoulder hit all the time. It is okay to not play a move like R13 or Q14, which are the most common moves. You can play some sort of pincers too, but you need a good reason to. And in the game, white has a very good reason to pincer here. And I just go elsewhere because, again, like with all things in Go, timing is so important. If I go down now, well, white will stand up. If I block, white will hane. And even though I make momentary good shape, this cut becomes way too painful for black. Yeah, basically I can't let white get Q5 or K5 because it's way too painful. And even if I atari like this and like hane here, the two stones here are on a right now, like locally they don't look that big, but compared to what I'm getting, they are quite big actually. So Yeah, and technically I'm not fully alive yet either. So basically I'd be getting a heavy group, but maybe later this move will be good. So yeah, and it means, okay, if white even fixes this, then I get to play 2 moves elsewhere. So it's okay to leave things. Even if you can do something, should you do it? That is so key in Go. And that's kind of the essence of timing, is you can do something, but should you do it? So white plays here. And part of me wanted to just simply play a simple variation like this. And if white extends back, then I'll be able to attack the top. But again, I fired up maybe, I'm not sure. Feeling confident, and so I just pincer. And then even when white jumps up, I extend. And so you can see I'm really trying to cut up the board here. White attaches. White has 2 possible moves here. White can play b14 or d16. Both are playable. Both are playable. And I could allow white to just capture this. And this would allow me to keep the corner. But I didn't like this because 1, it connects white. But 2, my stone at L17, the whole purpose of it was to attack this. And now that white has thickness here, I need to fix this area, but it's kind of awkward too. The spacing is a little strange. Like, I don't want to just play a move like this. There's still Aji in the corner even. I would like to expand, but there's a lot more Aji in the corner. So I didn't want to just take the corner. So I back off, and white gets there, and so now white's into the corner, but I'm keeping white separated, so I jump out. And white jumps. And then this is the weakness, the weak point of the shape here. Yeah, this is a weak point of white shape, and it's just a tiger's mouth shape. And again, if you can memorize this shape, and you can kind of pinpoint F16, you'll be doing good. You'll be doing good. Just extend, and white plays there, and then I jump out. So again, the whole point of this was to create some Aji, because even though white's connected technically, there's still a push and cut there. So then I jump out. And the jump out, the point of this, by the way, is I'm attacking the 3, but I'm also looking at the bottom. Yes, I even have my sights on the bottom still, believe it or not. Yes. And we can see the reason why this is a weakness, by the way, because it might look like there's an obvious weak point here. If white does this now, though, I can play peeps like this, and yeah, keep attacking white. White really needs to push through still and cut, but I can counter cut the other way. And this stone here has a lot of Aji actually at F16, so yeah. And even if I just connect, same deal. If you cut this way, I'm just going to hurt your other side. If you cut the other way, again, I'm kind of getting what I want, even if I just connect like this. So yes, that's the whole idea with that move. And then so white surrounds. But the thing with the surround is it's a bunch of knights moves. And so again, just like with I can cut at L3, I felt, okay, the timing is not quite right. So I played B18. This move is so necessary. This move is so necessary. It's actually quite a big move by itself, even if we disregard the life and death scenario. Yeah, like I could play something like this and stand up or what have you. But basically, when white plays B18, this push and cut at G17 has a lot less value. And of course, white is threatening to capture. So by getting this, I'm creating more Aji with this push and cut here, because I'm taking away an extra outside liberty. And of course, it's helping my group stay alive. So white plays here. This is just a forcing move. And then white plays here. And then I say, I'm going to play here. And because, again, the whole point of this move here, I didn't want to touch white, something like this. And this felt a little slow because white could just cap me. So I was trying to play lightly here, playing away from white, which is also a little closer to the bottom side. Because I didn't want to see, I could separate this way, but I thought white getting this spot looked really nice for white. And if I have to kind of run with this group, white would be able to fix the bottom. And there's no real value with running out at H14. So that's why I played this one here. White surrounds. White comes in, and then I come in the bottom left. white plays here. Yeah, this is really the only move. You would like to keep the corner, but when black has a stone here, the next move for white is very awkward. There's not an easy spot to pick for the next move. Again, normally you would play here, but this Hane is just too potent. So, yeah, it's a tricky scenario. And white can't really pincer because now this is too dangerous for white. This is too dangerous for white. In this case, black can just descend like this, and even if you try to Hane, because of my stone at d7, it's in the perfect spot. I'm already fixed, so I can just do something else, something like this. So, yeah, white really, this move is imperative. Some move like this, or like this. These are the two possible moves. So, I like this one though because it keeps black or you don't touch a stone, you could attack. I attach though because I'm not actually aiming for the corner. I'm aiming for some Aji that's been staying on the board for a few moves now. And again, white doesn't want to Hane because even though it's more forcing directly, white needs to fix still. And there's not an easy way to fix either. If you fix like this, you have to fix again. If you fix like this, you have to fix again. If you have to connect, then your stones are actually quite inefficient. You're not actually hurting the stone here. And if I just turn, yeah, you're actually still pretty slow. So white just plays here. And now it's like if I play this one, white doesn't have to turn. White could maybe push here and then jump or do other things, maybe diagonal. So yeah, white just standing up here is just a very solid move. But then I can descend. And again, the thing with this descend is because white doesn't get Q2 and Sente, if white does something else, there is Aji with push and cut. Because now these two stones are very weak. So, yeah. And so we can see here, if you look at this board, my kind of game plan so far has been working. Now, has it been working in the sense of, am I leading this game? It's technically close. I think white's slightly ahead here, just because my only points are this small corner here, worth like 3 points, and my small corner here, worth somewhere around 3 points as well. So white actually has more cash, white has more cash with Comey than I do on the board right now. But this is the game I like to play. And that's what I often say, like studying with AI is okay, but you really need to play your own style. So even if an AI might be like, okay, black, what are you doing? This is so bad. If I'm comfortable with this kind of game, which at this point I was, I would prefer that over a game I might slightly be doing better at, but according to AI, but I'm like, I don't know where to go next. I don't know how to capitalize on this. I don't feel comfortable. So yeah, surprisingly having, and let's count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 separated groups is where I'm comfortable. I guess it is. But yeah, you can just see how, and that's why probably at this stage, collectively, we have both spent maybe 30 minutes to an hour already. And we're only at move 51. Like, we spent a long time on this game. And we were using Fisher time, so it's not like we cheated and gave ourselves more time. It's just whatever the time constraints were, we were able to use our time very well. Yes. So white just stands up, and white just gives it up too. Because of the weakness here, white says, okay, I can't really fight, and just jump up. Yeah. And then white plays here, and then pulls back. But I thought this exchange here was helping me, because now I jump across. And again, going back to the whole timing, and so far this game has been a lot about timing. I could at this stage do what I do in the game now, but the difference is I don't have any thickness. And even if I can extend something like this and put white in danger somehow, the thing is though, white could just make exchanges like this and basically be alive. Like, white is very close to being alive already. So like if I pull back, white plays here. If I Hane, white bumps here and plays here. Like, white can live very easily. There is actually enough space here to live. And that's where the downside of my large nice move is white locally can get a lot of forcing moves. So I don't want to jump immediately. Otherwise, again, white can just live. So instead, I wait until the board has changed. And now notice white plays here. and pulls back. And so now white can't make as good of eye shape on the left side, and white has made me ever so slightly stronger as well. So now I cut across, and I have thickness on the bottom too. And push, cut. This is good order of moves. Or this is correct way to cut. If I cut this way, white is still going to fix on this side, but I've given white way better shape. If I cut here and white connects on this side, this would be a big mistake because now this kind of move is sente. This kind of move is sente. So white has to fix, and then I can get my plan of playing here, which works even better now that I have this extended stone here. So, yeah. So cut on the side you don't want. I don't want the upper left, so I cut on that side. So white has to just connect like that. And then I still play here, but now I have, instead of in the other variation where here I would have another move, white has to play a move here. And then white bumps here. And this is where I actually thought I misread. So I was like, well, if I just connect, white's going to push, and I'm going to have some trouble. Though, basically, I needed to worry about my eye shape as well. And so I landed on this one with the idea being, if you play here, and then Atari, and then connect, or even connect like this, I can make an eye here if I need to. Yeah, and I can't cut like this because this move is sente. Because white can Atari this way. So it's again very complicated, but I was like, okay, I can simply just go here. Yeah, I can just go here. But then white pushes through, and I'm like, oh, did I make a mistake? That was honestly my first reaction. Where I was like, okay, if I connect, then Atari and snapback. But I was like, but I can just like Atari like this, right? Yes. Or even better, I can Atari this way. And I was like, what is white planning here? So white actually does Atari through. And I think looking back, this move might be better, only because, well, it's hard to say. So white can, if white connects, obviously this would be bad. But if white plays here and I take, this keeps the left side weak, and technically the top side, there's a big endgame now. So if white fixes here, this is hard to ignore. And now we move on with the world, right? I've gained quite a bit here, actually. So by going here and white captures here, now white's left side here is pretty solid, which means, and I always say this, I tell my students this, the strength of stones is relative to nearby enemy stones. So the fact that white has become indestructible here, basically, like white's alive here, these three stones that were a few moves ago attacking are now a liability. They are now, they can now be counterattacked. But we have more pressing matters up top with this group here. So, yeah. Turn, white goes there. And this is actually pretty interesting. So, I turn here because in my mind, it's sente, right? But this actually changes a lot in this game. So, for example, if I simply just play here, this is a good position for black. Because those 5 stones up top are captured. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but, and thankfully I saw this last second in the game because I almost missed this in the game, but there's a ko here. Atari, like this. And I obviously can't connect, and I can fight this ko, but I can simply just connect under, like this. And like this, I am alive. I am alive in the corner because if white tries to capture me, Atari, connect. When I connect here, these stones have very few liberties. And these stones, the fact I was able to connect here gave me 2 more liberties, gave me a lot more liberties. But remember, in the game, I turned here first, forcing white to go here. And that's kind of the crux of this whole position. If I try to do the same thing, like this, now it's slightly different. Now I have less liberties here. Before I had 4 liberties, now I have 2. And that 2 liberties does make a difference. So, yeah, this would be, and again, at any point, sorry, white can throw in, of course. That is Sente. So, yeah, I have very few liberties now. So because I turned in the center, I cannot give it up. Now, it turns out, according to AI, I should just always play here. Even if I don't turn there, I should always just fix there because it's big enough. But it felt, I heavily considered, what if I just play a move like this, connect underneath, and now these stones are captured with no problem, and white has a problem in the upper right. But I did end up playing, according to the AI, the proper move. But then white can activate the stones up top. And so fight number 1's done. Let's move to fight number 2 of 50 or whatever there was in this game. Because now white tries to make Aji up top. Extend. Play here. I can Atari, though. And Atari. And now I can Atari this way. And all these moves are forced. You can, in all my tournament games, I always keep reviews in the description. So in this game, there's no different. There's a Kifu of this game in the description. That being said, you can take a look through. All these moves are forced. I have to Atari here. I have to fix here. I have to crawl here, right? And so all this is fine. Even this is all fine. And then white goes here. This is where I could simplify the game a lot if I simply just connected like this. If I simply just connect like this. If I simply connect like this, I connect up my top to my upper right. So that's one less group to worry about. And I don't get squeezed here. Whereas in the game, white's able to squeeze these 4 stones to force me to capture these. And it's not super easy for white. If white plays here, I can just connect under. And even if white takes and I just fix, white's not alive yet. White's far from alive. If white descends, which is usually the strongest move, I can Hane here. Like so. This is a very powerful move where you can't cut here because I can capture. And if you connect here, I can Hane here. So, yeah, if white just pulls back, I can, man, just surround like this. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. So, yeah. So this is another missed opportunity. Again, I just like playing down here. I think I played this too fast. I was like, oh, just limit the amount of forcing moves. Just go here. But if I just go here, this is so much better. This is so much better. Connect. White attaches. So this is directly threatening to capture me with throw-ins. But if I just answer, I didn't want white to be able to live in Sente and force me to connect under. So I cut first, see how white plays, and then extend. So now white needs to connect at Q18 first before playing J19. So when white hanes and I cut and extend, when white connects, I play at J19. So I kind of made Miai between the two. White extends back. And yeah, here, yeah, I should just play this way, shouldn't I? Yeah. I played here because I'm like, oh, let me connect back to my bottom group, but like white is not alive up top. And so I can use that fact to continue attacking white, or even getting that one move to just help my shape. But I simply just diagonal, white attaches, and then gets the spot I should have played. And this helps white shape a lot, and I have to keep jumping. And so you can see I'm feeling really confident here. And at this point, black is doing well in the game. But after the kind of messy opening, black is doing okay in this game. Because white is kind of scrambling here. And white's pretty low on time for this stage of the game. And probably at this point, half of the games were done at this point of the Masters. And that kind of just tells you the pace we're going at. So white hanes and connects. But this was a big mistake because since this doesn't take away liberty from the 5 stones here, it doesn't affect the upper side too much. And so we looked at it, and he's correct about this, black. Is white can play here first. Or white can make this ko first. Because white does have ko threats. So yeah, like maybe you play this one. It's hard to say, but. And the thing with this ko is I have to play a move here, but then the entire upper right gets destroyed. But here, as he put it after the game, this was basically a pass. So I can just go elsewhere. Connects, and then yeah, 3 to 4. And I think technically this is a ko, but it's a hard ko for white to win actually. It's a 2-step ko. So yeah, that's tough to win because especially when you have a weak group here, even if you find a ko threat, like this is a ko threat, and if you try to fight this one, well now whatever you play, black's going to ignore because now the entire upper side is in danger. So yeah. So white descends, but again, this is not working because play here, white has to connect, but then I can just capture. So again, I'm eating up a lot of points here, Atari, and then white finally goes elsewhere. But I'm like, okay, I have a lot of forcing moves here, so let me just capture and capture. And then white tries to cut me in the center, but I have Atari, and then play here. And I'm using the fact that I have moves here in Sente, but I don't know what I want yet, so I play here first, and then wedge. And this also might be slightly wrong in the Kifu. Eric and I, black, I was taking the Kifu for this game during the game, but when the intense fighting started, I kind of gave it up, and then only when I got home was I able to kind of try to fill in the blanks, and at that point I was like, it's been about 6 hours, so I had forgotten it, so I handed it off to him, and then we were like, oh, but this, I think I did this instead, and so this might be a little bit incorrect. The final position is correct, though, and that's the main thing. But yeah, the point of this, by the way, was white was looking at the ladder with this stone here, where if this kind of thing happened, black can't ladder these stones. This is now a ladder breaker. So that's why white played here. Not only to attack this, of course. So it's a nice dual-purpose move. But with how weak white is here, we got a shape like this. And then white plays here, and then we get a huge ko now. I will answer that any day. But I have ko threats too. I can cut here. And white blocks. And then yeah, I can play here first. This forces white to go here, and then when I play the ko threat, it's a lot bigger. Yeah, white has a ko threat here, like this. Now when I cut, it's not as easy for white to find a good move, because if you Atari here, I don't have to connect, I can actually just capture. Yeah. Now the thing is, like this, it might not be big enough to... white could leave this, and even though I capture some stones, the lower side is big enough. So the problem with this is when I play here, I can actually instead cut directly. And then if white plays here, Atari, and then actually capture the whole upper side. So that's the idea with cutting first. Even though this looks like it gives me more threats, this move, it actually, once white connects here, I have less threats. Because again, ko, when you fight a ko, you're not looking for just forcing moves. You're looking for some forcing moves that are bigger than what the ko is fighting for. So, white extends, so cut, play there. So now I can cut. And again, I'm not just going to take here, because white can connect. Although this would be better than the other variation, but it's still not perfect. It's still not perfect for black. But I can cut. And again, we have the same variation. Play throw in, yep, answered that. Atari. White plays there, yep, got a fix. Play down. Throw in, sure. These are all ko threats, by the way. Play there. White connects, yep. Yes, and then here, so at this point, I thought I was doing very well in this game, especially after the right side and the top. I was like, I have a lot of cash on this board. Now, it is true white gained a few points here, but I was like, I'm doing okay in this game. After the game, when because at this point, I think all games were done, honestly. Again, this game went on like an hour after all other games were done. And so a lot of people were watching this game. A lot of the players, strong players, thought that I should just take this. and allow white to capture here, but in the process, potentially be able to attack the entire bottom side. Now, the difficult part for this for black is I need this dragon to live. This dragon with 0 eyes, by the way. No eyes at all. So, yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky. And it's hard to calculate, too. Like, giving these up to take this, like, this is huge. It is true. And I connect back my left side, and I can attack this, but I have this stick of stones that aren't alive. So it's very complicated. And I felt I was doing okay. So, yeah, when this exchange happened here, and I lived in the corner, I felt this was okay. But it turns out this actually, here, black is still doing okay. All black needed to do, though, was activate the stones on the left side. And I saw this move, which this move makes sense, can connect back. But the move I did not see or didn't consider heavily was something like this. And basically, if I can live on the left side, which with these two moves in conjunction, I can, black wins this game. Black wins this game. Because in winning the ko, keeping the top, and living on the left side, white just does not have enough points at this stage. But instead, play here, Atari, white just lets me connect. I just let white have the left side. I thought I had enough around the board because I'm like, okay, I have the top, right side, the bottom side now. I have a lot of points on this board. White has some points here in the left side, but surely it's enough. As we come to find out, it was not enough. So just to look at this Aji really quickly, this attachment is really the key, where if white plays here, I can pull back. And it looks like, well, you can't really cut because you get captured, right? But that's not the point of the cut. The point of the cut is if you cut me, I will Atari. You can't block. You have to take, and then I can connect under. So that's the idea here. And then I've connected back. This would be a win for black. Okay, what if white pulls back? Well, same thing. When I pull back, I'm still threatening to play b13, and therefore I can, if you have to fix, then I can live somehow on the left side. Okay, what if I cut like this? So the question is, when I cut like this, is this move still sente? Black actually extends first. This is actually the key move here. Even though white gets this Atari, well, the one thing, white Ataring actually isn't always sente either, so I could just ignore it, because if white descends, I can connect, and if white takes, I can always save the corner still. So that's one thing to consider, but two, if I do answer, if you block like this, I can play here. And it might look like where there's no Aji there, but there's a very nice Tesuji here for black, where black can play here. And this obviously is threatening to cut. So if white connects, though, now I can play here. And white can't cut me now. It's an order of moves. If I start with this and then do this, white can take. And now I can't connect. But by starting with this, I keep the liberties on these two stones. So if white connects, I can cut. If white plays here, I can cut. If white plays here, I can't cut either way. But now I can play a16, and now it's a connect and die. So, yeah, that means white has to add a move still, and then I can still live on the left side. And if white connects like this, instead, now I get this move in sente. And so white has to fix, and then I still get both moves in sente. So the fact that I can not only play this move, but also live is what, or get both moves and save the stone is what is really good here for black. And if white tries to separate, cut, capture, yes, white's going to be getting cut off somehow. So if you take, connect, I have to cut, but we can just see here, yeah, white's going to have less liberties here. So, yes. So that's why white can't just cut the stone off. So there's Aji on the left side to live fairly easily. I just wasn't looking for much Aji there because I thought I was ahead. And I was like, okay, well, I should simplify if I'm ahead. So I was just playing what I thought was good endgame. But as it turns out, I was still behind. So we played till the end. And it is fairly close. and we just play kind of normal endgame here. But yeah, the final score of this game was, I think, white by 12.5. So that's Comey's 7.5, white by 5 on the board. So it was very close on the board, but yeah, not quite enough. And I even told my opponent after, Eric, I was like, this was a really fun game, and he agreed. And I said, I think this is my best chance against you too, and he also agreed. And so that felt good. And again, my whole goal for this tournament was to play good games. And so again, besides my second round game, which I felt I played okay on, and I guess after the fact, the fourth round game, even though I lost, I went 3-2. I felt very happy with my play. I felt I played at a very high level at this tournament, even compared to last year, which I had the same record, 2-3. I felt I played really consistent and really good at this tournament. So I was very pleased with how I played at this event. And that's very rare, especially for strong players. I'm sure you've heard how strong players talk. You know, they'll win a game by 100 points and be like, I didn't play that well. But at this tournament, even though I went 2-3, 2 wins, 3 losses, I felt very good about this event. And so I ended up right smack dab in the middle of the upper division at 8th place out of 16, I believe, which placing wise was a lot better than last year. I think I was like 7th out of 10 or something like that. 7th out of 9, something like that. So yeah, felt very happy. And yeah, this last game was very crazy, very, very crazy. And again, I'm happy with how I managed it. But yeah, if you have any questions about this game, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next video.